Hey everyone. Today I have an interesting short little clip for you about how lines get a little blurred when medical decisions and legal decisions overlap. Stay tuned after, and I have a little more context for you on how this is becoming a bit of an issue in other areas of the legal system. So let's go to court.
Court will note the appearance of Ms. McNiff on behalf of the defendant. This matter is before the court on the defendant's motion for an order concerning parenting time. Ms. McNiff.
Your Honor, as the court knows from our motion, Mr. Russell on Black Friday had a major seizure while he had the children in the Walmart store in Battle Creek. And at that time, he refused for the EMTs to take him to the hospital. My client showed up and took him to the ER. The ER doc indicated that they couldn't confirm or deny the fact whether he had a grand mal seizure, but did refer him to a neurologist. We have significant concerns about him driving with the children and being alone with the children because they're very young. They're 3, they're almost 4, until he is cleared from a neurologist and we find out what caused that seizure. At the time he bit his tongue, he urinated. It was a serious medical condition, and we don't know what caused it. We are simply asking that he have another adult present and somebody else to drive when he has the children. We're not asking for supervised parenting time. We're just concerned about the medical condition and the safety of the children. The children are too young to be able to call 911 or to take care of themselves. And of course, the concern about having a seizure and driving is concerning not just for Mr. Russell and the children, but for anybody on the road. So we're asking that he get in to see a neurologist as soon as possible. If he's cleared, then that can be lifted. If he's not cleared, then whatever measures he needs to take care of his medical condition needs to happen before he should be driving the children.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Russell, what's your response?
My response is Miss Swafford was there when they said that they don't know if it was a seizure or if it was vascular. So vascular is where you overheat and you pass out. So I just came from my primary doctor, and she looked at my charts, and nothing on there says that seizure was any of it. They're just saying fainting. So so I went to them, and at this point, I mean, she's saying grand mal. Does she understand what grand mal seizures are? Because yeah, that's the worst seizure you could have. And nothing on my paperwork released from that doctor at the emergency room and my personal doctor, my doctor I just came from, says nothing about seizure. It says about fainting and overheating. So the only thing that they could almost give it to is I've always had higher blood pressure, and they're saying that maybe that might be one of the things. But as far as getting into the neurologist, I called there, and if it was such a imminent danger, why did they not pull my license? Why am I still able to drive? And I have to drive to Kalamazoo.
Briefly, it's important to note that every state has different reporting requirements for seizures and other loss of consciousness type episodes. Some states require a doctor to report even after the first episode occurs. Other states don't require doctors to report it at all. If you look at this, you can see the difference between California and Florida. Doctors are required to report in California, but they are not required to report in Florida. There's different periods of time that has to pass before you can get a hardship license in these states. Now, I'm sure the judge is aware of what the law is in the state of Michigan, and in Michigan, there is no obligation for a physician or an optometrist to report any kind of these episodes that occur that they're aware of. They can voluntarily report, but there's no requirement. It's technically up to the person who is experiencing the medical episode to make this report on their own. The University of Michigan, in their neurology department, actually put out a very lengthy brochure that talks about what do I need to know after having my first seizure. And it says that sometimes seizures can be hardly noticed, sometimes they are disabling. And what you need to do is stop driving for a period of time until you understand what is going on and why. It discusses the different requirements in each state and what the laws are for the state of Michigan. Once you are seizure-free for 6 months, you can fill out a statement with your physician and send it to the Secretary of State, who oversees the Department of Motor Vehicles or whatever it's called in that state. Again, this is all self-reported for the most part. So when Dad's saying they didn't take my driver's license away, no, that's not how this works. Also, though, if it's found that Dad doesn't have any of these conditions and he's cleared by the doctors, then none of this is even necessary because it wasn't a seizure and it's not an ongoing condition. It was a one-time isolated incident. One of the problems is adults have to actually adult sometimes, and there's no one going to hold your hand and do all these things for you. You have to evaluate yourself and make these decisions on your own and do what's in the best interest of yourself and your children. One last point, Dad's about to go on about how the doctors have cleared him and it's not up to the judge to play doctor, which I completely understand in so many different ways. But I went through a period where I was having seizure-like episodes. They were not seizures, they were something completely different. However, I was never told not to drive. I shouldn't have been driving, and I chose not to drive on my own because I didn't feel comfortable driving, but I was never advised not to drive over the almost a year period while they were trying to determine the source of these seizure-like episodes. Just because someone doesn't explicitly tell you not to do something doesn't mean it's okay to do it.
To go see the neurological surgeon. So if it's seizure, then 6 months I would not have a license. So I'm just saying, let's not play doctor, because I've been to the doctors. And if they have cleared me both times, I don't understand what the issue is.
Okay, when you say they have cleared me, who are they?
The ER doctor and then my personal doctor, my primary doctor today.
Your Honor, my client was at the ER and I don't believe that he was cleared. I believe the ER doctor sent him to a neurologist to try to figure it out. If it's blood pressure, then if we could get some kind of note, show that he's on blood pressure medication, that he's taking care of that so that he doesn't faint again. Whatever the condition is, it's not safe to drive with these kids until it's taken care of.
Okay. Well, what the court's going to do is the court will order that that if necessary, that basically the defendant, in this case, would provide the transportation to and from parenting time unless the plaintiff has someone else with him or somebody that can drive for purposes of doing that, but he will not drive with the minor children alone at this time till we have confirmation as to what his medical condition is. Court would order that the plaintiff would provide a report from his doctor. Again,
I can do that today.
you provide that to Ms. McNiff within 14 days as to what the problem was. And if in fact the doctor cannot establish what the condition was or the problem, that the plaintiff would see a neurologist within 45 days and provide a report to the defendant.
I have an appointment for January 2nd.
Okay, well, good. Well, we can, you can see the neurologist on the 2nd and then have the neurologist provide a report and provide that to Ms. McNiff.
Thank you, Your
So
Honor.
so I guess what is it? So she has to drop him off to me at my house and I can't go anywhere with him?
Right, you cannot drive alone with the kids in the vehicle. You'd have to have some other driver with you until we get the matter cleared up.
So here's my question though. If the doctors have cleared me to drive, so I'm going to get a third opinion pretty much. But
Well,
so the emergency room, my primary doctor, and now I'm going to a neuro January 2nd. But what I'm wondering is, if they cleared me to drive, why can I not drive my children?
well, because we're
I
not
have no
certain,
restrictions.
and neither Ms. McNiff nor myself have looked at any reports from any doctors. And until that happens, I'm saying you're not going to drive with the kids. So if the neurologist gives a report and says he didn't find anything and you're capable of driving, then the court will remove that restriction.
Okay.
Okay? Ms. McNiff, you can prepare the order and submit under 7 days.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
I think one of the frustrating things is, had she not been aware that that incident took place, that was not something that he would have been required to report to the court, and it places a significant hardship on him. However, should he not be driving, you know, that's kind of a personal opinion thing. What I wanted to add is that this same type of overlap has become a pretty decent issue in the world of Social Security disability. I've personally gone through this issue where I had initially 3 and then 5 different doctors filling out forms indicating that I needed to stop working. All of the documents and forms were different. They all provided the different aspects from the different types of doctors that they were. And I had a judge say that he didn't understand it. He didn't see the testing that supported their opinions. Well, MS is not a disease that you can really quantify with a test. There's not a lot of things that can be tested. It was interesting to see a judge say that he didn't understand the medical science and deny a claim, overruling what ended up amounting to 5 different doctors saying the opposite. And I've heard stories so much worse than that from so many different people where there's becoming an increasing conflict between the two. So just thought this one was a little interesting. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next time.